The text message glows accusingly on my screen, each word a tiny dagger. My hand trembles as I read it again, hoping somehow the words might rearrange themselves into something less cruel. We've decided to keep the wedding small and intimate. We hope you understand. Thanks again for everything. A tear splashes onto my phone, blurring Brooke's name. I wipe it away with my thumb, leaving a streak across the glass. The warm evening light filtering through my Craftsman windows casts a golden glow across my living room, all polished hardwood and carefully chosen furnishings. Everything in its proper place, everything except this ugliness now burning in my palm. Thanks again for everything, I whisper, my voice cracking in the silence. My chest tightens, and I struggle to draw a full breath. The $25,000 check for the venue deposit sits in a cream-colored envelope on my coffee table. Derek and Brooke's dream day, written in my careful handwriting across the front. I'd planned to drop it off tomorrow. I reached for the framed photo beside it, Derek and me at the lake, when I was 12 and he was 14. His arm is slung around my shoulders, both of us squinting into the sun with identical grins. I grip the frame tightly, remembering how it felt to believe we'd always protect each other. The sharp crack of glass startles me. A thin line now runs across Derek's face, splitting his smile in two. 3 weeks ago, I sat at my parents' gleaming dining room table, surrounded by the familiar scent of my mother's pot roast as Derek and Brooke made their announcement. "We're engaged!" Derek's voice boomed as Brooke extended her hand, a modest diamond catching the light. My father immediately popped the champagne he'd clearly had waiting. My mother's eyes glistened with tears. "My baby boy," she whispered, cupping his face in her hands. Finally, the glasses were raised, the toasts made, and then came the inevitable discussion of wedding plans. "We've been looking at Crystal Ridge," Derek said casually, as if mentioning a fast food restaurant rather than the most exclusive venue in 3 counties. "It's exactly what we've always wanted." Brooke stared at her plate. "But we can't afford it," she admitted quietly. "Not after Derek's been between opportunities for so long. 2 years of unemployment. That's what between opportunities meant." The table fell silent. I saw the disappointment creeping into my mother's eyes, my father's tight smile. And something in me cracked open, that old familiar need to finally earn their approval. "I'll pay for it," I heard myself say. "The full venue deposit. Consider it my gift." The shock on their faces was almost worth it. For once, I was the center of attention at our family table. For once, Derek was hugging me like he meant it instead of the awkward pat and release I usually received. "You've always been so practical, Harper," my mother said, sounding genuinely surprised. "It's nice to see you being generous for once." For once. As if I hadn't been the one working 2 jobs through college, while Derek partied his way to a barely earned degree on our parents' dime. As if I hadn't climbed steadily through my firm, while Derek bounced between ill-conceived startups. As if my achievements, the promotion last year, the house I'd bought on my own, were footnotes while Derek's smallest efforts earned standing ovations. "He's finding himself," my mother would say whenever anyone dared mention his latest failure. I'd found myself years ago, found myself alone. The signs were there from the beginning. Wedding planning meetings I wasn't invited to. Brooke's vague answers when I asked about my role. Derek changing the subject whenever I inquired about details. The venue selection I discovered through an Instagram post rather than a conversation. But I ignored them all, kept writing checks, kept hoping. My phone buzzes with another text. Derek this time. "You just don't really match the vibe we're going for. It's nothing personal." Nothing personal. As if excluding the person paying for your wedding could ever be anything but deeply, painfully personal. I call my mother with shaking fingers. "Harper," she answers, irritation already coloring her tone. "What is it?" "Did you know?" My voice sounds strange, hollow. "Did you know they were uninviting me from the wedding?" A heavy sigh. "Don't make this about you, Harper. It's their special day." "I'm paying for their special day. Just let it go." My father's voice cuts in from the extension. "You've always been so sensitive." They hang up before I can respond. I walk to my home office, wiping tears with the back of my hand. The folder labeled Wedding Expenses sits prominently on my desk. I flip it open, staring at the contracts, vendor agreements, and receipts all bearing my name, my signature. The legal holder of every single arrangement for a wedding I'm no longer invited to attend. For the first time since reading Brooke's text, something shifts inside me. The hurt doesn't disappear, but it moves aside just enough to make room for something new. Clarity. I hold all the power, and they have no idea. My phone feels heavy in my hand as I scroll through old text messages. I need evidence that I'm not crazy, that this betrayal wasn't sudden but methodically planned. There it is, a conversation from 3 months ago. My mother's words leap from the screen. Derek thinks it might be best if you're not there. You tend to outshine him. I had brushed it off then as another of her offhand comments, the kind that land like paper, cut seemingly small but surprisingly painful. I swipe the screen, eyes burning from a night without sleep. The wedding website loads with a cheerful chime that mocks my raw nerves. Soft pastels frame Derek and Brooke's engagement photo, his arm wrapped possessively around her waist, both beaming at the camera. I scroll to our story and feel my breath catch. After years of saving and planning our dream wedding, the words blur as my vision swims. Derek and Brooke are proud to have created this special day through their own hard work and dedication. Not a single mention of my $25,000 venue deposit. Not one acknowledgement of the catering bill I paid last week. Their own hard work apparently includes cashing my checks. Instagram delivers the next blow. A series of photos appear under the hashtag Brooke's Bachelorette. There's my mother raising a champagne flute at an upscale restaurant. Brooke wearing a rhinestone tiara, surrounded by laughing women I half recognize from family gatherings. Even my cousin Melissa, who I had lunch with just 2 weeks ago, appears in several photos, her arms slung around Brooke's shoulders. No invitation had arrived for me, not even a casual mention that it was happening. I keep scrolling, masochistically cataloging each exclusion. A cake tasting at the bakery I researched and recommended. A venue walkthrough where Derek stands pointing at something while my father nods approvingly. All events I paid for but wasn't deemed worthy to attend. My email pings. A message from Crystal Ridge Events. Miss Evans. Per the groom's request, we've removed your access credentials from our planning portal. All future communications will go directly to Derek and Brooke Evans. Thank you for your understanding. Alan Martinez. Event manager. The groom's request. I say the words aloud, testing their weight. A notification appears. Brooke has accidentally shared her private wedding Pinterest board with me. I open it immediately. There, beneath a photo of bridesmaids in sage green dresses, Brooke's comment stabs deep. Thank God Harper won't be there in one of her power suits, making us look bad. Already talked to Derek about making sure she's uninvited. My phone buzzes with Derek's text. Mom and Dad agree it's better this way. My mother follows immediately. Just send the final payment and we'll handle everything. I call my father 3 times. First voicemail. Second voicemail. Third declined. The doorbell rings. Emma stands on my porch, wine bottles in each hand, concern etched across her features. You sounded terrible on the phone, she says, brushing past me. I brought reinforcements. As I show her the texts, the website, the emails, her face hardens. They've been using you your whole life, she says, anger tightening her voice. But this is a new low, even for them. My phone rings. Jackson from Legal at Work. I've reviewed those contracts you sent, he says without preamble. You're legally entitled to cancel everything. Everything? My voice sounds small. Every single vendor. You're the contract holder. Not Derek, not Brooke, not your parents. You. Emma's eyes meet mine. The wedding is in 10 days, she says quietly. 200 guests, I add. If I do this, I'll be the villain in the family story forever. And if you don't, Emma challenges, they'll know they can take whatever they want from me. The realization settles like stone in my stomach. My dignity has a price tag, and apparently it's exactly $25,000. My hand doesn't shake as I dial Crystal Ridge Events. Alan Martinez speaking. This is Harper Evans. I'm calling about my brother's wedding. A pause. Yes, Miss Evans. How can I help? I explain the situation, simply and without embellishment. When I finish, the silence stretches. I'm sorry that happened to you, Alan finally says, his voice softening. Family can be complicated. I haven't spoken to my brother in 5 years. What happened? I ask before I can stop myself. Similar situation. I worked myself to the bone helping him start his business. When it succeeded, suddenly I wasn't professional enough to be included. Alan clears his throat. Some people only value what you provide, not who you are. His words hit with a clarity of truth. What are my options if I need to cancel? I ask. The contract states a 30% penalty if canceled by the contract holder, he explains. Which would be you? I hadn't noticed this clause perhaps because I never imagined needing it. I like to keep our conversation confidential for now, I say, feeling a curious lightness spread through my chest. Of course. The understanding in his voice is unmistakable. Family politics. I get it. After we hang up, I open my laptop and create a new document titled Wedding Contracts. Methodically, I list every service I've paid for, every contract in my name, every receipt. The spreadsheet grows, row after row of financial commitments I've made to celebrate a relationship while my own was being discarded. For the first time since reading Brooke's text yesterday, I feel something other than hurt, the smallest taste of control, of agency. It's not satisfaction, not quite. But as I save the document, I recognize it might be the first step toward something better. My phone buzzes for the 4th time today. Mother's name flashes across the screen, her message appearing above the others. We need the final venue payment by tomorrow. No pleasantries, no acknowledgement of the elephant trampling through my life. Just another demand. As if I'm nothing more than an ATM with legs. Before I can set the phone down, it vibrates again. Derek this time. Brooke's parents are asking about the catering deposit. And then, moments later, from Brooke herself, can you send me the florist's number? Need to make a small change. I stare at the cascade of demands, each one more audacious than the last. Not one of them mentions my invitation. Not one acknowledges the knife they've plunged between my shoulder blades. Dr. Winters adjusts her glasses and studies me from across her office. The afternoon light catches the silver in her hair as she leans forward. Harper, this pattern has existed your entire life, she says, her voice gentle but firm. You've been describing it in our sessions for years. I nod, fingers tracing the leather arm of the chair. What would happen, she asks, setting her notepad aside, if you stopped enabling their behavior? The question hangs in the air between us, simple yet seismic. They'd have to face consequences, I whisper, the words feeling foreign on my tongue. For once. Something shifts inside me, a physical straightening of my spine, shoulders pulling back as if shedding an invisible weight. Dr. Winters notices it too, a slight smile touching her lips. That evening, I do something I've avoided for days. I call my mother directly instead of responding to her text. She answers on the second ring, irritation already coloring her tone. Harper, I've been waiting for you to transfer the final payment. I'm not sending any more money until we discuss my role in the wedding. I say, my voice steadier than I expected. A beat of silence then. After everything we've done for you, the familiar guilt trip, the well-worn path of manipulation. But tonight, something has changed. Name one thing, I say, surprising myself with the challenge in my voice. Name one thing you've done for me that wasn't actually for Derek. The silence that follows is profound, a vacuum where her immediate defense should be. In that pause, I hear the truth louder than any words she could offer. She hangs up without answering. $25,000 for the venue, Emma says, scribbling on the legal pad spread across my kitchen table. $8,000 for catering, $4,000 for the band. Her red curls fall forward as she bends over the growing list. Flowers, photographer, wedding cake, all in your name. Across from us, Jackson adjusts his glasses, reviewing the contracts I've laid out. You have every right to cancel these contracts, he says, tapping a clause in the venue agreement. There's a penalty, of course, but significantly less than the full amount. My boss offered me a personal day tomorrow. I tell them, pouring more wine into Emma's glass. She said to take care of myself first. Smart woman, Emma nods. Maria called, by the way. She wanted you to know her brother did the same thing to her last year. You're not alone in this. The realization washes over this circle of support I've built without even noticing. People who value me for who I am, not what I can provide. The next morning, I sit at my desk, phone in hand, a strange calm settling over me. The sunlight streams through my office window, illuminating the folder of contracts before me. I dial the first number. Crystal Ridge Events, this is Alan speaking. Hello, Alan, this is Harper Evans, I say, my voice clear and professional. I'm exercising my right to cancel as contract holder for the Evans-Mitchell wedding. A pause, then understanding. Of course, Miss Evans, I'll need to prepare the paperwork. There will be a cancellation fee of 30%. I understand. Please confirm the cancellation in writing. One by one, I move down the list. Greenfield Catering? I need to cancel services for the Evans-Mitchell wedding. Yes, I'll hold for your manager. Summit Photography? I'm calling regarding contract E-349. I need to cancel immediately. Garden District Florist? This is Harper Evans. I need to cancel the order for May 8th. With each call, a weight lifts. Each cancellation confirmation arrives in my inbox, methodically forwarded to a folder labeled documentation. By noon, it's done. The wedding that was never meant to include me now no longer exists. That evening, alone in my bedroom, something unexpected happens. A laugh bubbles up from deep inside me, genuine, almost foreign after days of tears and tension. It starts small, then grows until I'm holding my sides, the absurdity of it all finally hitting me. I grab my phone, scroll to a playlist I haven't touched in months, and hit play. Lizzo's Truth Hurts fills the room, and I find myself moving to the beat, dancing across the hardwood floors and sock feet. I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch. I sing along, voice cracking but spirits soaring. The collapse comes mid-twirl, me knees giving way, body folding onto the edge of my bed as tears flow freely. But these aren't tears of grief. They're relief, washing away years of accommodation and apology. When I wake the next morning, something has changed. The clarity and calm I feel aren't transient guests but permanent residents. For the first time in years, perhaps, ever, I'm breathing without the weight of family expectation crushing my chest. I've created a folder with all receipts and communications. I tell Jackson over coffee at my kitchen table. We're preparing for the inevitable fallout. Emma nods approvingly from the counter where she's setting up my laptop. Your email auto-response for family members is ready. Short, professional, and utterly final. I press record on my phone. This is Harper Evans, May 1st, 2025. Summary of events regarding the Evans-Mitchell wedding. My voice is clear as I document everything, creating a record even my mother couldn't dispute. Later that afternoon, I meet Alan at the venue. His sympathetic expression tells me he understands more than he said. I wanted to explain the situation fully, I tell him, handing over the final paperwork. He nods, placing it in a crisp envelope. They haven't responded to any of our calls. They're hoping I'll change my mind. I say, the realization no longer painful. Alan hesitates, then offers. I'll deliver the cancellation notice personally. Sometimes people need to see the consequences of their actions. As I'm leaving, my phone pings with a notification. A Venmo request from Derek sent months ago that I'd somehow missed. The memo line reads, "Thanks for funding our child-free wedding." I take a screenshot, saving it as the final piece of evidence. The truth always finds its way out, I whisper, tucking my phone away. Walking to my car, I feel the afternoon sun warm on my face. For the first time since this began, I'm not a victim but an architect designing a future where respect isn't optional but required. Days pass in a strange silence. My phone buzzes incessantly with notifications, but I don't respond. Derek, 17 messages. Mom, 23 calls. Dad, 3 terse voicemails. Brooke, a flurry of increasingly panicked texts. I place my phone face down on my desk at work and focus on the quarterly projection spreadsheet, numbers lining up in perfect, predictable columns. Behind me, through the glass wall of my office, life continues, colleagues laughing, printers humming, coffee brewing. 2 days until the wedding that isn't happening, and I'm the only one who knows it. Harper? My assistant pokes her head in. You have a visitor. It's Derek barrels past her, face flushed and hair disheveled. Gone is the carefree smile he's perfected over years of avoiding consequences. His eyes dart wildly around my office before landing on me. What did you do? He demands, voice elevated enough that heads turn in the open workspace beyond my glass walls. I straighten in my chair, clasping my hands on the desk. I stopped funding an event I wasn't welcome to attend. You can't just... Derek slams his palms on my desk, scattering papers. You promised. 2 of my colleagues appear at the doorway, Marcus from accounting and Jen from legal. They don't speak, just stand there, arms crossed. Behind them, I see Jackson on the phone, speaking urgently. You should leave, I say quietly. Not until you fix this, Derek's voice cracks. The venue, the catering, everything's gone. Mom is having a breakdown, Brooke won't stop crying. Security arrives then, 2 men in press uniforms who don't need to touch Derek to make their presence felt. Sir, you need to come with us, the taller one says firmly. Derek backs toward the door, pointing at me. You're ruining everything. You've always been jealous. You've always tried to make me look bad. As they escort him out, his final words echo down the hallway. You're dead to this family. I exhale slowly, hands trembling slightly as I reorganize the scattered papers. Jen approaches, places a gentle hand on my shoulder. We've got your back, she says simply. That evening, Emma shows me Brooke's Instagram post. A tearful selfie with the caption, Imagine having a sister so jealous she tries to sabotage your wedding. Family isn't always blood. Already hundreds of sympathetic comments, distant relatives and high school friends taking sides without knowing facts. Your mother called the Robertsons, Emma reports, scrolling through her phone. The Robertsons family friends for 20 years. She's telling everyone you're having some kind of breakdown. My phone chimes with texts from Aunt Judith, Uncle Martin, even my second cousin Terrell variations on what's going on and are you okay? And can't you just make peace for one day? I say nothing. Pour another glass of wine. Emma grins suddenly, turning her phone to show me a photo she just posted. The 2 of us at dinner last week, smiling genuinely. Caption: Supporting my friend through family betrayal. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who finally say enough. Jackson sent a cease and desist letter regarding defamation, she adds. My boss texted his support hours ago. Take all the time you need. Our firm stands behind our people. Even Alan from the venue called to say he's been correcting the story when contacted. I told them the contract holder exercised their legal right to cancel. Nothing personal, nothing dramatic. The morning before the wedding day that isn't, my phone buzzes with a call from an unknown number. Brooke's father. Harper? Phil Henderson here. His voice is strained. Brooke's parent. We had no idea you were funding everything. They told us they'd been saving. I say nothing. Is there anything we can do? He asks finally. I end the call without answering. An hour later, a text from my mother. What will people think of us? Not, I'm sorry. Not, we were wrong. But, what will people think? My father's voice comes next, the first time I've heard it in days. Harper, let's talk about this rationally. There must be a solution that works for everyone. Derek's text arrives last. We were wrong to exclude you. Please come to the wedding. We found a backup plan. City Hall tomorrow at 2. We need you there. Each message rings hollow, focused entirely on appearances rather than genuine remorse. I read them all twice, then set my phone aside without replying. When my colleague asks about the situation at lunch, I simply state, I was uninvited from an event I was paying for. No embellishment, no emotion, just facts. That evening, a formal invitation arrives by email cream-colored background. Flowing script. Derek Evans and Brooke Henderson invite you to witness their marriage. City Hall, 2 p.m. When I don't respond, Alan texts. Just confirm they're using City Hall at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Small ceremony, reception canceled. I type back, thank you. Will you still be able to deliver the notice? His response comes immediately. Absolutely. As we discussed, I set my phone down and look out my window at the setting sun. Tomorrow, the truth will finally have its moment in the light. Not with drama or vengeance, but with the simple, undeniable weight of consequences finally finding their rightful owners. The city hall steps feel cold under my sensible heels. I stand across the street, watching the confused guests file in. Most wear expressions that match their hastily assembled outfits, bewildered, slightly rumpled, questioning. A text message wedding isn't exactly what they had envisioned when they'd marked their calendars for Derek and Brooke's dream day at Crystal Ridge. I check my watch. 1:57 p.m. 3 minutes until the ceremony. 3 minutes until I walk into a room full of people who have no idea I'm the reason they're gathering in this stark government building, instead of the elegant venue with panoramic mountain views I'd selected and paid for. The memory of Derek's text burns in my mind. You just don't really match the vibe we're going for. It's nothing personal. A passing businessman gives me a curious glance, and I realize I've whispered the words aloud, the bitterness leaking out despite my resolve to remain composed. I straighten my charcoal gray dress, simple, elegant, deliberately understated. Nothing that could be accused of outshining the bride. Inside, the scene is exactly as Alan described. A single sad bouquet of convenience store flowers adorns the justice of the piece's podium. 20-some metal folding chairs have been arranged in uneven rows. My parents stand near the front, mother continuously smoothing her silk blouse, as if proper fabric tension might somehow restore order to the situation. Derek and Brooke stand together near the window, their eyes darting to the door every time it opens. The tension radiating from them is almost visible, like heat waves rising from summer asphalt. I slip in quietly, nodding politely to several distant relatives who notice my arrival. The collective exhale from my family is audible even from the back row where I settle myself. Hands folded neatly in my lap. Crisis averted, they think. Harper has come to her senses. Mother rushes over, her pearls clacking against each other in her haste. Thank goodness you came to your senses, she whispers, the exact words I'd anticipated. Her hand grips my shoulder with unnecessary force, as if she might physically hold me in place should I consider bolting. We're family, I say simply, the words hollow as a dead tree. Derek appears next, bending close to my ear. We can talk about rent later, he murmurs, his eyes not quite meeting mine. I wonder if this is his version of an apology, or simply financial damage control. Brooke follows, offering an air kiss near my cheek, careful not to actually make contact. So glad you could make it, she says, her smile strained to breaking point. No acknowledgement of my exclusion. No genuine remorse. I simply nod. None of them notice that I haven't actually accepted their non-apologies or promised forgiveness. They see what they need to see: compliant Harper. Reliable Harper. Harper who won't make a scene. The justice of the peace clears his throat, and everyone takes their seats. The ceremony begins with all the warmth of a tax audit. Derek shifts from foot to foot. Brooke clutches her bodega bouquet so tightly that a few petals float to the floor. They exchange stilted vows about honor and cherishing, words that sound particularly ironic given recent events. They're midway through the ring exchange when the heavy oak door creaks open. Alan enters, his tailored suit and confidence stride drawing all eyes. He carries a cream-colored envelope identical to the one that had sat on my coffee table just days ago. The one that had contained a $25,000 check and all my foolish hopes of family connection. My heart pounds against my ribs as he walks directly to the center of the room. I apologize for the interruption, Alan says, his voice clear and professional. I'm Alan from Crystal Ridge Events. The confusion in the room is immediate. Guests exchange glances. Brooke's father half rises from his seat. "This is your official notice of breach of contract," Alan continues, opening the envelope and removing several official-looking documents. He hands copies to both Derek and Brooke, whose faces have drained of all color. "These are the cancellation penalties as outlined in your agreement. The total amount of $8,000 is due immediately to avoid further legal action." He pauses, then adds pointedly, "You should have treated your sponsors better." The silence that follows feels like the moment after glass, shatter suspended, dangerous, irreversible. Brooke's mother is the first to speak. "What is he talking about? What sponsors?" My mother steps forward, hands fluttering. "There's been a misunderstanding. Who was paying for this wedding?" Brooke's father demands, his voice cutting through the growing murmurs. For the first time since entering City Hall, I stand. Every eye turns to me, and I feel oddly calm, like I've stepped outside myself to watch this scene unfold. I say clearly, until I was uninvited by text message." The room falls completely silent. I can hear the ancient wall clock ticking away seconds that feel like individual eternities. "I didn't ruin your wedding," I continue, my voice steady. "I just stopped funding your lie." Derek's face contorts through a series of emotions: shock, anger, embarrassment, and finally, a dawning horror as he realizes what's happening. Mother stands frozen, her carefully constructed facade crumbling visibly. Father stares at his shoes. The justice of the peace, clearly eager to be done with this awkward situation, hastily pronounces them husband and wife. There's no applause, no celebratory cheers. Just the uncomfortable shuffling of feet and the rustle of jackets as guests make quick escapes. Several cousins and an uncle approach me, their expressions a mix of newfound respect and lingering confusion. Aunt Meredith whispers, "We should talk soon," with unexpected warmth. I decline multiple invitations to explain everything and clear the air. There's nothing more to explain. The truth has finally done what I never could spoken for itself. As I walk out into the afternoon sunlight, I feel the weight of decades lifting from my shoulders. Some people create scenes to be heard. I simply allowed the consequences of their own actions to speak at full volume. Wind chimes dance in the gentle May breeze, their melodic tones weaving through my backyard garden. 6 months have passed since that day at City Hall. 6 months of rebuilding, of growth, of careful tending to what matters. "You outdid yourself with these hydrangeas," Emma says, raising her wine glass toward the blue-purple blooms clustered along my garden path. "They're thriving." I settle into the Adirondack chair beside her, watching Jackson and Maria arrange platters of food on the patio table. These 3 people who stood beside me when it mattered most now gather weekly in this space we've created together. Chosen family. My solo trip photos finally uploaded, I say, pulling out my phone and scrolling to images of misty Scottish highlands and stone cottages. 2 weeks of nothing but hiking, reading, and deciding what I wanted each day. Emma swipes through them, pausing at one of me standing atop a windswept cliff, arms outstretched, face tilted toward the sun. "You look free," she observes. "My counselor says I'm making good progress." I admit, learning to prioritize my peace isn't selfish, it's necessary. Jackson joins us, setting down a tray of lemonade glasses tinkling with ice. Speaking of progress, I finally told my brother I won't be financing his 3rd startup attempt. His voice carries the same quiet certainty I've been cultivating. "Use that script you shared from your therapist." We raise our glasses in an impromptu toast. "To choosing your own family," Maria says, her smile genuine as sunshine, and to Harper, who showed us all how it's done. The conversation shifts as we eat, but I find myself reflecting on the diverging paths my biological family has taken. Derek and Brooke's marriage is struggling, no surprise given its foundation. My mother has called 3 times, each message carefully avoiding any acknowledgement of her role in what happened. "Just checking in to see if you're over it yet," as if betrayal were a head cold to recover from. What did surprise me was the letter from my father that arrived in yesterday's mail. 12 handwritten pages of genuine reflection and, most shocking, an apology without qualifiers. I've read it twice but haven't decided yet whether to respond. Some bridges might be worth rebuilding. Others might need to remain crossed. My phone buzzes with a text from my cousin Elaine. Planning my wedding for next spring. Could we talk? Would value your advice on avoiding family drama. I consider this for a moment before typing, I'd be happy to talk about healthy boundaries. Coffee next week? 6 months ago, I would have been asked for a check. Today, I'm being sought for wisdom. The difference feels significant. You seem lighter, Maria observes, studying my face. Less tense. She's right. The constant knot of anxiety that lived between my shoulder blades has loosened. My boss noted it too when he announced my promotion last month. Your confidence has transformed your work. Instead of financing someone else's dreams, I've established a small fund for the local women's shelter. The director's eyes widened when I explained it was specifically for women rebuilding lives after family betrayal. Many don't leave because they can't imagine surviving alone, she told me. Your story helps them see possibility. As twilight approaches, I grab my watering can and move toward the newly planted section of garden. Where dead wood and tangled vines once dominated, fresh green shoots now reach skyward. I work methodically, nourishing what's healthy, what deserves to grow. Sometimes, I say to no one in particular as the setting sun gilds everything in warm light, the healthiest thing you can do is stop nourishing relationships that poison you. Through my open windows, laughter spills from my kitchen where my friends, my real family, are preparing dessert. I turn toward that warmth, a peaceful smile settling on my face as naturally as breathing. The garden will be here tomorrow. Tonight is for celebrating how far we've all grown. I step into my apartment, the cool evening air a welcome relief from the stifling atmosphere at Hamilton Financial. My heels click against the hardwood floors as I make my way to the kitchen, already dreaming of a glass of wine, and take out after the grueling board meeting. That's when I hear them voices drifting from my living room, casual and animated, as if they have every right to be there. My hand freezes on the light switch. My sister Olivia's distinctive laugh rings out, followed by Rachel's eager voice chiming in about some resort. Mom's there too, her tone warm and excited in a way I haven't heard in months. I round the corner, my designer bags still clutched in one hand, and find them sprawled across my leather sectional like it's their personal planning committee. Glossy travel brochures litter my coffee table, and Rachel's laptop screen displays what looks like a luxury resort website. Val! Mom brightens when she sees me, but there's something off in her smile. We were just discussing the plans for my 65th. Plans? I set down my bag, a knot forming in my stomach. What plans? Olivia leans forward, her perfectly manicured hands gesturing animatedly. We've found the most amazing resort in Cabo. 8 days of pure luxury spa treatments, private beach access, sunset cruises. Mom's gonna love it. My mind floods with memories, each one striking like a physical blow. Last summer's solo trip to Europe, canceled because Rachel needed help with her divorce lawyer's retainer. The director position I turned down because it would mean less flexibility for family emergencies. Christmas after Christmas of covering shared family gifts while my sisters contributed token amounts. The pattern is so clear, now every sacrifice demanded and accepted without question. You have to come to dinner tonight, Mom says, gathering her purse. We need to discuss all the arrangements. Eleanor's making her famous pot roast. 2 hours later, I sit at my mother's ornate dining table, surrounded by the familiar trappings of family gatherings. Crystal glasses catch the light from the chandelier, and photographs line the walls carefully curated moments of family history. The smell of pot roast fills the air, but my stomach is too tight to eat. So it's settled then, Eleanor announces, passing the green beans. We'll drop off the kids that Friday morning. I've written down all their scheduled soccer practice for the twins, Emma's dance class, and Charlie's allergies, of course. The crystal glass nearly slips from my hand. What kids? The children, dear. Mom dabs her lips with a napkin. All 6 of them. You'll be watching them while we're at the resort. The room seems to tilt on its axis. You're planning to leave me with 6 children under the age of 8 for 8 days? Well, you're so good with them, Rachel chimes in. And it's not like you have any other commitments. Not like you have any other commitments. The words echo in my head, each repetition stripping away another layer of denial about my place in this family. Every holiday spent cooking while they relaxed. Every financial emergency I've solved. Every time they've assumed my time was theirs to command. Have you even considered inviting me on this trip? The words come out barely above a whisper. Olivia laughs, the sound brittle. Val, be realistic. Someone needs to watch the kids. I sit there, paralyzed, as the conversation flows around me. The chandelier light suddenly feels harsh, the family photos on the walls more like an indictment than a celebration. My eyes move from face to face, Mom's practiced indifference, Olivia's casual dismissal, Rachel's eager compliance searching for any sign that they understand what they're doing. Any flicker of empathy or recognition. There is none. My hands rest on the white tablecloth, trembling slightly. Years of choices stretch behind me, and an impossible decision looms ahead. Do I swallow this betrayal like all the others? Or do I finally say enough? The answer feels just out of reach as I sit frozen in my chair, the happy chatter of dinner plans washing over me like acid. In this moment of paralysis, one thought cuts through the chaos with perfect clarity. Whatever I decide next will change everything. I sit at my desk, methodically sorting through financial records downloaded from Hamilton Financial's secure portal. The screen's blue light casts harsh shadows across my modern apartment as evening settles in. My fingers tremble slightly as I cross-reference each digital entry with the stack of printed emails and texts I've been secretly collecting. The truth emerges in cold, hard numbers. $4,500, my supposed contribution to Mom's celebration, scattered across a web of transactions. Restaurant charges at places I've never been, home repairs I never approved. And there, buried in the details, payments for the luxury resort that I'm apparently not good enough to visit. My throat tightens as I make precise notes in the margins, building my case. Annotation feels like another crack in the foundation of what I thought was familial love. The evidence doesn't lie. They've been using me as their personal ATM for years. My phone buzzes. A text from Olivia. Don't forget to check the kids' allergy lists before next month. Tet. I close my eyes, letting the weight of manipulation settle over me. The casual presumption that I'll fall in line, watch their children, fund their escapes. It's all there in black and white. The next morning, I arranged to meet my sisters at the Brood Awakening. The coffee shop's warm lighting and gentle buzz of conversation feel at odds with the storm brewing inside me. Olivia arrives first, perfectly coiffed in designer wear that I suspect I helped finance. Rachel trails behind, already wearing her signature look of concerned disapproval. We need to talk about the resort trip, I say as they settle into their seats. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. Olivia's smile freezes. What about it? I pull out the first printed email, sliding it across the table. Maybe we should start with how my contribution was actually spent. Oh, Val, not this again. Rachel leans forward, her wedding ring catching the light. You're single. You don't understand how expensive it is having kids. Family has to help family. Family, the word tastes bitter. I spread out more documents, each one a testament to years of exploitation. Is that what you call using my money for spa days and home renovations without my knowledge? Olivia's perfectly manicured fingers drum against the table. You're being dramatic. Everyone knows you're the responsible one, the successful one. It's not our fault you chose career over family. Chose? My laugh sounds hollow. Like I chose to cancel my Europe trip last summer to cover your divorce lawyer, Rachel. Or chose to turn down the director position because Mom needed someone flexible for emergencies. That's different, Olivia snaps, her composure cracking. You're acting like we owe you something. You do. My voice carries an edge I've never heard before. You owe me respect, consideration, the basic courtesy of asking before you spend my money or volunteer my time. Rachel's eyes narrow. Just because you're alone doesn't mean... I'm not alone. The realization hits me as I say it. I'm just not your resource anymore. Olivia stands abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. If you're going to be difficult about this, maybe you should skip dinner on Sunday. Give yourself time to think about your priorities. I gather my evidence, tucking each paper away with deliberate care. My priorities are perfectly clear, for the first time in years. They leave in a flutter of self-righteous indignation, but I remain at the table, hands wrapped around my cooling coffee. The cafe continues its gentle hum of activity around me, oblivious to the seismic shift that just occurred. For the first time, I've challenged the narrative they've written for me, the script they've expected me to follow without question. My phone lights up with a message from Marcus Reed, my colleague at Hamilton Financial. Noticed some unusual patterns in those transactions you asked me to review. Got a minute to talk? I text back a quick confirmation, feeling the first spark of validation. I'm not imagining things. The exploitation is real, documented, and about to meet its match. The afternoon sun casts long shadows across Crescent Grove Park as I settle onto my favorite bench beneath the sprawling oak tree. This spot has always been my refuge, a place where the gentle rustle of leaves drowns out the doubts that plague me after every family confrontation. My phone rings. Marcus. I've been reviewing those transactions, he says without preamble. His voice carries the measured tone I've come to associate with his most careful analyses. There's a pattern here that goes beyond casual financial oversight. 20 minutes later, I'm sliding into a booth at the Urban Nook, spreading my documentation across the worn wooden table. Marcus sits opposite me, his typically pristine suit jacket draped over the chair, sleeves rolled up as he pores over my evidence. Look at these timestamps. He points to a series of entries. The contributions weren't just misused, they were systematically diverted through multiple accounts. I've seen similar patterns with clients who've experienced financial exploitation. The word hits like a physical blow, exploitation. I've been dancing around it, cushioning it with softer terms like misunderstanding or family dynamics. But Marcus's clinical assessment strips away the pretense. Back home, I sit cross-legged on my couch, a leather-bound journal open in my lap. Each entry documents another sacrifice. The promotion I declined because mom needed weekly help with housework. The savings I depleted covering Eleanor's mortgage payment. Christmas after Christmas of maxed out credit cards because sharing is caring. My chest aches with a familiar tightness as I trace the words with my fingertip. The meticulous record-keeping that I once used to prove my devotion now reads like a ledger of betrayal. Even my closest friends have grown distant, worn down by years of canceled plans and last-minute family emergencies. The silence of my apartment presses in, broken only by the soft tick of the designer clock, another shared expense I somehow ended up covering alone. My reflection in the darkened window looks different somehow. Tired, yes, but also resolute. The woman who documented every sacrifice is finally ready to acknowledge their cost. I return to my home office late that evening, rain pattering against the windows. The vintage desk lamp casts a warm circle of light as I spread out my evidence one final time. Something about Olivia's latest email thread catches my eye. A phrase about additional fund allocation that seems oddly formal for my usually casual sister. My hands steady as I begin to decrypt the careful language, cross-referencing dates and amounts. The pattern emerges slowly at first, then with stunning clarity. This isn't just about babysitting duties or vacation expenses. The emails reveal a calculated scheme to maintain control over family assets, with my resources as the primary target. I save the document, then print a copy with trembling fingers. The evidence feels heavy in my hands, heavier than paper should be. Perhaps because it carries the weight of revelation, this betrayal runs deeper than I ever imagined, and nothing will ever be the same. My phone buzzes against the glass desk for the 100th time this morning. Rain pelts the windows of my corner office at Hamilton Financial, matching the storm brewing in my inbox. Olivia's latest Facebook post glares up at me from the screen. Some people forget everything that's been done for them. When you've sacrificed everything for your family, only to be betrayed. Number toxic people, number ungrateful. The timestamp reads 9:03 a.m. She's been at this for hours already, each notification a fresh wound. I scroll through the comments, my throat tightening as distant relatives and family friends pile on with their accusations. Aunt Margaret, who I haven't seen since Christmas 3 years ago, has written a paragraph about family loyalty. Uncle Steve, who needed a loan last summer for his new boat, calls me selfish. A new message pops up in the family group chat Forever Family. Rachel this time sharing screenshots of emails I sent last year when I couldn't make it to her son's birthday party. I was in London closing $1 million deal for the firm. The deal that helped pay for her divorce lawyer 2 months later. Remember this? She writes. Always too busy for family. Now we know where Val's priorities really lie. My hands tremble as I set the phone face down. The polished surface of my desk reflects a woman I barely recognize, hair perfectly styled, designer blazer immaculate, eyes haunted. The morning light catching on my silver pendant seems to mock the chaos erupting across my social media accounts. A text from my mother. Eleanor is devastated. How could you do this to the children? The glass of water by my keyboard ripples with each shaky breath I take. Inside my chest, something that's been bending for years finally threatens to snap. I pick up my phone again, Open my voicemail. 3 new messages. Val, it's Jessica. My cousin's voice drips with manufactured concern. I just can't believe what I'm hearing. After everything your sisters have done for you. Delete. Valerie Marie Thompson, you call me back this instant. Delete. Hey, it's Marcus. The familiar voice of my colleague cuts through the noise. Saw the posts. Let's grab coffee. You shouldn't be alone right now. My finger hovers over the delete button, then drops. Through the rain-streaked windows, I watch the city pulse with morning traffic. Each car represents someone moving forward, someone choosing their own direction. The thought hits me with startling clarity. I've spent so long being the family rock that I've forgotten how to move at all. A new notification lights up my screen. Olivia again, this time sharing photos from last Thanksgiving. There I am in the background, cooking while everyone else poses for pictures. Carrying dishes while they open presents. Always in motion, always in service, never really seen. The trembling in my hand stills. I close my eyes, draw in a breath that feels like the first one I've taken in years. The rain drums against the windows, a steady rhythm that drowns out the chaos of notifications. In this moment of quiet, something shifts inside me, a fault line finally giving way, revealing bedrock I didn't know I had. My phone rings, startling me. Benjamin Carter's name flashes on the screen. My old mentor, retired now, someone I haven't spoken to in months. I answer before I can think better of it. Valerie. His voice carries the same steady authority I remember from my early days at the firm. I saw what's happening. Are you all right? I'm fine. I say automatically, then catch myself. Actually, no, I'm not. Good. The word surprises me. That's the first honest thing you've said to anyone in years, isn't it? The truth of it hits like a physical blow. I sink into my chair, clutching the phone tighter. Listen carefully, Benjamin continues. I've watched you build your career on precision and integrity. You analyze million-dollar deals without flinching. Yet you let your family treat your life like a resource to be mined. Why? They're family, I whisper, but the words sound hollow even to me. Number. His voice carries the weight of experience. They're people who've learned that your strength is profitable to them. There's a difference. Something breaks loose in my chest knot, the snap I feared earlier, but a release, like a knot finally coming undone. What do? You do what you've always done best, Valerie. You strategize, you plan, and then you act with the same precision you bring to every other aspect of your life. I'm already reaching for a pen, muscle memory from countless meetings with him kicking in. I need to meet Marcus, I say. I need to start gathering evidence. Now that sounds like the Valerie I mentored. Pride colors his voice. Remember, your compassion isn't weakness, but it's time to extend some of that compassion to yourself. The Urban Nook's warmth wraps around me like a blanket as I push through the door 30 minutes later. Marcus waves from our usual corner booth, 2 steam already waiting. The coffee shop's familiar scent of roasted beans and pastries grounds me as I slide into the seat across from him. I ordered your usual, he says, pushing a mug toward me, though I'm thinking this conversation might need something stronger than a cappuccino. I wrap my hands around the warm ceramic, letting it chase away the last of the morning's chill. I need your help, Marcus. Already on it. He pulls out his tablet, turning it to show me a carefully organized folder structure. I've been documenting every post, every comment. And I've got contacts in legal who specialize in cases of financial exploitation. Whatever you need, Val, you're not alone in this. The lump in my throat makes it hard to speak. I take a sip of coffee instead, using the moment to compose myself. I need to build a case, I say finally, not for legal action not yet, but I need to understand exactly what's been happening. All of it. Marcus nods, already typing. Start at the beginning. Every financial transaction, every emotional manipulation. We'll map it all out. Later that night, I sit in my study, surrounded by the evidence of years of systematic exploitation. My laptop screen glows with folder after folder of screenshots, financial records, text messages, each one a small betrayal, now organized into a damning pattern. The rain has stopped, leaving the city windows streaked with trails that catch the light from nearby buildings. I've been at this for hours, methodically building a case that would make any of our firm's auditors proud. Every sacrifice, every manipulation, every moment I said yes when I should have said no, all of it, documented and dated. A new email notification breaks my concentration. From Olivia, sent to an address I don't recognize. My cursor hovers over the forward icon. She must have included me by mistake. The subject line reads, Special Fund Allocation. I open it. My breath catches as I read, then read again. The coded language is subtle, but after 15 years in finance, I know exactly what I'm looking at. A secret account, multiple transactions, a pattern of financial maneuvering that explains so much about the past few years. My hands are steady as I hit print. The evidence I've gathered tonight is a foundation, but this email, this is the key that will unlock everything. I stand, walk to my window. The city sparkles below, 1,000 lights reflecting off rain-slick streets. Somewhere out there, my family is probably still posting, still plotting, still certain of their control. They have no idea what's coming. The polished interface of Pacific Paradigm Travels fills my laptop screen, their exclusive resort collection a sharp contrast to the oppressive silence of my apartment. My fingers hover over the confirmation button as I review the details one final time. The Royal Hawaiian Hotel, Waikiki Beach, oceanfront suite with private balcony. 8 days of freedom wrapped in luxury, the exact same length as their precious family vacation. I document every transaction meticulously. Flight reservations, hotel confirmation, even the private car service from the airport. Each receipt gets immediately filed into an encrypted folder, building my arsenal of evidence one PDF at a time. The satisfaction settles deep in my chest as I compose 2 separate encrypted emails. Marcus's response arrives first. All systems go. Ready when you are. Asterisk. Benjamin's follows moments later. Op-ed drafted. Just waiting for your signal. Asterisk. My phone buzzes again the 7th time in an hour. Olivia's name flashes across the screen, but I let it go to voicemail. Instead, I open the family group chat she's dubbed Forever Family and watch the messages pour in like digital venom. Valerie, this is completely unacceptable. You can't just disappear when the family needs you. Asterisk. Mom is devastated. How could you be so selfish? Asterisk. Rachel's contribution comes next. A poorly edited photo of me from last Christmas, annotated with snide comments about family loyalty. The image spreads across our extended family's social media like a virus, accompanied by increasingly hostile speculation about my character. She follows it with a barrage of doctored images, each one designed to paint me as the ungrateful sister, the family traitor. My hands don't shake as I document each post, each comment. Let them show their true colors. Have you seen what they're posting? Marcus's voice crackles through my AirPods. It's getting ugly out there. I've seen it. I minimize the family chat and pull up the counter campaign we've prepared. Are you ready? Everyone's in position. Benjamin's op-ed drops in the Metro Times tonight, and I've got screenshots of every manipulative text they've sent you for the past year. Just say the word. I think of the carefully cultivated image my sisters have built, the perfect daughters, the devoted mothers, the pillars of our community. Do it. The response is immediate and overwhelming. Numbers stand with Valerie trends locally within hours as Marcus releases his timeline of evidence. Benjamin's piece cuts through their carefully constructed narrative like a scalpel, exposing the years of financial and emotional exploitation. Comments pour in from colleagues, community leaders, even family friends who've witnessed their behavior firsthand. My cousin Jonathan's message catches me off guard. I had no idea it was this bad, Val. The way they treated you. I'm so sorry, asterisk. The family video call that evening is a masterclass in disintegration. Aunt Margaret's pinched expression fills my screen as she demands explanations. Olivia, these messages they're sharing, did you really expect Valerie to pay for everyone's Christmas gifts last year? You don't understand. Olivia snaps, her voice trembling with barely contained panic. A glimpse of Rachel appears in another window, her face flushed with anger. Need what? Rachel cuts in, her voice sharp with fear. Shut up, Olivia. The video glitches, freezing on their expressions of mounting horror as their united front crumbles in real time. Years of careful manipulation unravel in minutes. Through it all, I sit in silence, letting their own words do the work for me. Later that night, thunder rolls outside my window as I sort through my digital archives in my private study. The email from Olivia catches my eye, one I'd nearly forgotten about from 6 months ago. My breath catches as I read it again, seeing the detailed instructions for manipulating family funds with new clarity. My hands tremble slightly as I hit print. The pages emerge warm from the printer, each one more damning than the last. I create a new digital folder labeled Final Evidence and secure the physical copies in my safe. Every calculation, every scheme, every manipulation laid bare in black and white. The thunder crashes again as I prepare my public statement, detailing the full extent of their betrayal. My phone lights up with a text from Marcus' live stream scheduled for tomorrow. Are you ready to end this? Asterisk. I look around my quiet apartment, thinking of the oceanfront suite waiting for me in Hawaii, of the freedom that's finally within reach. Lightning splits the sky, and this time it feels like applause. Ready, asterisk? I text back. Time to finish what they started. Asterisk. I close my laptop and walk to the window, watching the storm rage outside. Tomorrow, I'll deliver the final blow of evidence that will shatter their facade. But tonight, I savor the calm before my own storm, knowing that for the first time in years, I'm the one holding all the power. The Royal Hawaiian confirmation email chimes on my phone. 8 days of peace waiting on the other side of tomorrow's war. I smile, thinking of my sisters scrambling to contain a situation that's already far beyond their control. Let them try to spin this. Some things just can't be manipulated back into place. I stare at my phone screen, watching the notifications flood in. Olivia's latest attack unfolds in real time, a carefully crafted legal notice from Preston and Associates threatening action over breach of familial financial agreements. The timestamp reads 10:03 a.m., right on schedule. Rachel's social media barrage follows 3 minutes later. My sister's performative grief spreads across Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter like a choreographed dance. Family means supporting each other, she writes beneath a strategically edited video clip of last Christmas. The footage conveniently cuts before I handed her a check for her divorce lawyer. The Forever Family group chat erupts with a symphony of message alerts. I watch the manipulation unfold with clinical detachment, noting how Olivia's carefully worded email to the extended family lands in my inbox at precisely 10:15 a.m. The subject line reads, "Urgent, concerning Valerie's recent actions." My home office feels different today. The sleek ergonomic chair that usually cradles me through long work days now serves as my command center. The wall of windows behind me offers a panoramic view of downtown, but my focus remains fixed on the 3 monitors before me. Marcus Reed's message pops up in my private chat. Everything's in place. Benjamin's got the financial records ready. I check my watch, 2:45 p.m. In 15 minutes, the Atrium Conference Center's modern glass facade will welcome hundreds of media representatives and community members. My throat tightens, but my hands remain steady as I gather the dossier of every manipulative text, every coerced financial contribution, every twisted family narrative meticulously documented and cross-referenced. The drive downtown passes in a blur of steel and glass buildings. When I step into the conference center's lobby, the familiar click of my heels against marble grounds me. The sound echoes differently, now no longer the footsteps of someone rushing to solve another family crisis, but the measured stride of someone about to reclaim their power. Ready? Benjamin asks, appearing at my elbow with the presentation drive. I nod, my fingers brushing against the small silver pendant at my neck, a habit I've carried since childhood. But today, it's not a nervous gesture. It's a reminder of every moment that led to this one. The conference room buzzes with anticipation. Camera shutters click rapidly as I take my place at the podium, the weight of the dossier solid and reassuring in my hands. The projector hums to life, and the first screenshot appears on the massive screen behind me, Olivia's threatening email from this morning, timestamp intact. Good afternoon, I begin, my voice carrying clearly through the room. Today, I'm here to tell you a story about family, about power, and about truth. The presentation unfolds like a precisely executed chess game. Each piece of evidence lands with devastating impact. Rachel's manipulated social media posts juxtaposed against reality. Financial records revealing years of systematic exploitation. The group chat messages that show the calculated nature of their emotional warfare. The audience reaction shifts from professional interest to stunned silence as the pattern emerges. In the third row, I spot my mother's closest friend, her hand pressed against her mouth. 2 local news anchors scribble furiously in their notebooks. A business reporter I recognize from the Hamilton Financial Press Circuit is already typing on his laptop. This morning, I continue, pulling up the legal notice. My sister attempted to threaten me with legal action. Let's examine exactly what these familial financial agreements entail. The next hour passes in a blur of revelations. Each disclosed document, each played recording, each financial transaction projected on the screen serves as another nail in the coffin of their manipulation. The narrative they've carefully constructed over years crumbles in real time, and I stand in the aftermath, finally able to breathe. When I finish speaking, the room erupts in questions. Reporters call out for clarification, details, reactions, but I'm already gathering my materials, my part in this performance complete. The evidence will speak for itself now. In the elevator down to the parking garage, I check my phone one last time. The Forever Family chat has fallen silent. My email inbox shows 3 urgent messages from Olivia's law firm, not Preston and Associates this time, but her actual employer. Rachel's social media accounts have gone dark. The next week passes in a whirlwind of legal proceedings. Samantha Brooks, my attorney, systematically dismantles their defenses in court. The financial records Benjamin provided become front-page news. Local business leaders, who once smiled politely at my family's galas, now publicly denounce their actions. The bank has frozen several accounts pending investigation. They're scrambling. Samantha tells me over coffee, sliding another stack of documents across the table. 3 board members have already reached out to distance themselves from your sister's firm. The final confrontation happens at Willow Grove Estate, where it all began. The grand house looms against the darkening sky as I pull into the circular driveway. Inside, the familiar crystal chandelier casts shadows across concerned Facis extended family, board members, community leaders who've known us since childhood. Olivia and Rachel stand near the fireplace, their usual confidence replaced by something harder, more desperate. Mom sits in her favorite armchair, looking smaller than I remember. "You've destroyed this family," Olivia says, but her voice wavers. I meet her gaze steadily. "Number, I've exposed what was destroying it all along." The room falls silent as I methodically address each person, each betrayal, each manipulation. Years of financial records spread across the antique coffee table. Aunt Eleanor gasps at the sight of her own signature on a document she never fully read. Uncle James stares at the floor. "This ends now," I say, my voice carrying to every corner of the room. The exploitation, the guilt, the endless demands of it. Later, I stand alone on the veranda, watching storm clouds gather above the manicured gardens. The sealed envelope in my hand contains one final piece of evidence proof of financial misappropriations that would shatter what remains of our family's facade. Thunder rumbles in the distance as I trace the envelope's edge with my finger. Behind me, the murmur of voices continues, a Greek chorus of shock, regret, and whispered revelations. But out here, in the gathering storm, I stand at a crossroads. The question isn't whether they'll ever understand what they've done. The question is whether understanding would change anything at all. The ocean breeze caresses my skin as I step onto Waikiki's pristine shore, my bare feet sinking into sand that feels like crushed velvet. Dawn paints the sky in watercolor strokes of pink and gold, and the rhythmic crash of waves drowns out the last echoes of my family's manipulative voices. This moment, this perfect, peaceful moment, belongs to me alone. I adjust my sun hat and settle onto my beach blanket, watching early morning surfers carve through waves that glitter like cut crystal. 3 weeks into my Hawaiian escape, and I still can't quite believe I'm here. The weight that you press against my chest has lifted, replaced by something lighter, freer. The morning stretches before me like an unopened gift. In 2 hours, I'll head to the Aloha Clay Studio, where James, my instructor, is teaching me to shape clay into delicate vessels that seem to capture light itself. My latest piso bowl with waves etched into its rim sits in the kiln, waiting to emerge transformed. Like me. My phone buzzes. Marcus Reed, my travel consultant, has sent the final itinerary for my upcoming European adventure. Paris in June, then a meandering path through Tuscany's sun-drenched hills. No family emergencies to derail these plans. No guilt-laden phone calls demanding my presence, my money, my soul. The sun climbs higher, and I gather my things, heading back along the shore. A young woman struggles with her beach umbrella, and I pause to help her anchor it in the sand. Her grateful smile triggers a memory. Me at her age, always rushing to solve everyone else's problems, measuring my worth in sacrifices made. I want to tell her what took me years to learn, that kindness shouldn't require self-erasure. Instead, I wish her a beautiful morning and continue my walk, my steps light against the dampened sand. Back in my hotel room, I catch my reflection in the mirror and pause. Gone is the tense set of my shoulders, the worried crease between my brows. The woman who stares back at me stands straighter, her gaze clear and unflinching. I think of that paralyzing moment at Mom's dinner table, when the weight of their expectations nearly crushed me. Now their demands feel as insubstantial as seafoam. The afternoon sun floods my balcony as I settle in with my laptop to review the latest financial reports from Hamilton. Benjamin Carter's email sits in my inbox note celebrating my team's successful quarter. No manipulation hiding between the lines, no subtle dig about family obligation, just straightforward appreciation for work well done. My phone chimes with a text from Rachel. I notice my hands don't shake anymore when I see her name. I delete the message unread, a simple act that once would have sparked days of anxiety. Now it feels as natural as breathing. Evening finds me at the Urban Nook, a cozy bistro where warm lighting turns everything golden. Marcus raises his glass in a toast, his eyes crinkling with genuine warmth. To new beginnings, he says, and our small group allies who stood by me through the storm echoes the sentiment. Benjamin shares a story about his own family breakthrough, and Lisa describes her latest art exhibition. Their laughter and support wrap around me like a familiar blanket, proof that family isn't defined by blood, but by choice. Later, in my hotel suite, I approach the antique key displayed in its handcrafted glass case. Mother's gift, once a chain disguised as trust, now transformed into a symbol of my liberation. I run my finger along its intricate pattern, remembering how it used to burn in my pocket like a brand of obligation. Tonight, it's just a key. Beautiful, perhaps, but powerless to lock me into anyone else's expectations. The evening air draws me to my balcony. Below, tourists stroll along Kalakaua Avenue, their voices carrying up on the breeze. The sun dips toward the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples that seem to set the whole world ablaze. I lean against the railing, letting the peace of the moment wash over me. This is freedom, not the absence of responsibility, but the power to choose which burdens to carry. This is evolution, not the severing of all bonds, but the strength to forge connections that nurture rather than drain. As the last light fades from the sky, I smile, knowing tomorrow brings another day of choices that are entirely my own.